Welcome to the 111 Approach podcast, your go-to space for deep thoughts, real talk, and exploration of everything from spirituality to self-development and the mysteries of life with some light-hearted humour along the way. I'm your host, Lakshmi, aka the 1 Minute Healer, and each episode will dive into different topics, sometimes personal, sometimes thought-provoking, but always authentic. So whether you're here for some new perspectives, inspiration, or just a fresh take on the world with a bit of randomness thrown into the mix, you're definitely in the right place. So what are you waiting for? Let's get into it. Hi, it's Lakshmi here, and before we start this week's episode, I need your help. Next year, I am taking on the biggest charity challenge I've ever done. Now, for those of you who know me well, you know I love to do things for charity ever since I was a child, from sponsored dance-a-thons, sponsored silences. Yes, I know, hard to believe me being quite right. Sponsored abseilings down buildings, and last year, even sleeping out on the streets of London in the middle of October in just a sleeping bag. I really try and push and immerse myself in things to raise money for good causes. And next year, I am climbing Mount Kilimanjaro for not one, but two amazing children's charities. Caudwell Children, who help disabled and autistic children all over the world, and Caudwell Youth, who empower at-risk adults aged 11 to 24. Now, this is the biggest challenge I've ever taken on because, number one, the target I need to hit is the biggest one to date. I need to raise £5,000, all of which goes to the charities because actually the trip and expedition itself is self-funded. But hey, if you're a business and would like to sponsor that side of it, please get in touch with me. And number two, I've never climbed a mountain in my life. Although I did make up my mind at age 5 that I did find a mountain in Canada and claimed it as my own. But that's a story for another day. So please, if you are able to make a donation, no matter how big or small, it will really help me reach that target. And I will be forever grateful to you, as will the children who the money will go to. So thank you again. The link will be in the show notes below, and enjoy this week's episode. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the 111 Approach podcast with me, Lakshmi, the 1 Minute Healer. And today I've got a very special guest on for you. In fact, I say this all the time, but I have very special guests, and today is no exception. But before I introduce this beautiful soul I have virtually in front of me, I always start and finish every episode with gratitude. So, as always, thank you so much for everyone who's listening and supporting the podcast, but also my work. Do really appreciate it. But without further ado, because I just want to get straight into bringing this beautiful soul into the mix, who is, in fact, a celebrity psychic, Mr. David Maddock. And David actually is a very unique psychic. He blends a beautiful mix of emotional, motivational, and spiritual messages to his clients all over the world. And I've had a reading personally with David, and I'm going to talk about it later on in this episode. But, and I can truly attest to this, but this is more than a spiritual connection because it's authenticity, and you're just where you came across and reached out to me was just so brilliant. And what I loved was it's very straight to the point, but with a gentleness about it as well. And you've written here, your aim is very simple. It's to help as many people as possible, which I absolutely love because that for me was something that I could also resonate with. He's from West Bromwich, fellow Brummy. Hey. Although my dad wouldn't be very impressed because my dad was a Villa supporter, and I'm assuming you're Baggies.
West Brom.
There you go. Okay. But like I said, you are a celebrity. You've been on TV, you've been in magazines, and you deliver messages with just such an amazing clarity. And the way you did it was so unique. And I love psychics. I love having readings done, but yours was unique. And we'll come into that in a minute. But without further ado, welcome to the pod, David. Please just give us a little bit more of your origin story and how you came to be doing what you're doing.
Well, firstly, can I just start by saying a massive thank you for having me on this wonderful podcast. It's an absolute pleasure. Thank you as well for your kind words. So this all started for me when I was 16. It goes back a little bit further than that, really. It started for me when I was 14. I got hit by a car.
What?
And so outside the Black Country Museum, and my best friend from school saw the accident, and he said, I just thought I'm watching my best friend pass away.
Oh my gosh.
He saw the whole thing. Um, the funny story behind this, before I go any further, is that my dad's in construction, so my dad's a road worker. And he always worked all over the country, you know, anywhere, Scotland, London, wherever the work was, he would go. And that particular day, he was actually working on the same road, literally just on the road next to it. So my best friend literally run over and says, Steve, which is my dad, you need to come in quick. So yeah, but I walked away with minor injuries. But that's what I feel really started this journey for me. And then when I was 16, my mum finally allowed me to go to a psychic fair with her. And I remember this lady doing this reading for my mum. And I remember looking at my mum like, does she know Dad? Does she know the family? How does she know these things?
Mm.
And I was fascinated from the word go. And the lady said to me, would you like your cards being read? And I said, oh no, I haven't really got the money. And she went, no, I'll do them anyway. And she says, you're going to help many people around the world. So then I went to the place of like, how much of this is true? What do I believe? And also back then, I don't even think Facebook was definitely not a thing. So it was like literally the only way you could help people on that kind of scale would be like to be on national TV and all the rest of it. So I took it with a pinch of salt, what she said. And then I saw another lady who said the exact same things. So then I always use the analogy of it's like a itch that you've got to scratch. It
Mm.
really did me. Another 6 months went by, saw another lady at my friend's house, and she said the same things. And I was like, okay, you've got my attention. Went back, ended up reading from my mom, telling my mom things about the family, even though I didn't know. And then from there, I just pursued this path. While I was working in construction, it literally happened at the same time of me leaving school. So I went straight into a job working in construction and also at the same time doing private readings on the side. And then in 2022, I finally took the leap of faith and said, no, I need to be doing this full time. It was my calling. And I took faith in the universe, my spirit guides, my loved ones, and just said, now's the time. And I didn't know how, when, why, but here we are now.
So construction worker turned psychic. That's amazing. But can I just circle back because I want some juicy details if that's all.
Okay.
And so you got hit by a car, right,
Mhm.
at 14.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when you said that that's where it started, what changed then?
Yeah, so I remember the accident like it was yesterday, and I try my best not to dramatise this subject because I think there's a lot of that goes on.
Mm.
And I try and keep it grounded. And going back to the accident, I remember the tap on my leg where the car hit my knee. And then I also remember like being above, so I could see everything that was going on. And it was like I had vision of everything around me. It was like the vision I had was up in the air.
Mm.
And then I just had this moment and this warmth feeling of now is not your time. That's all I felt. And I had this warmth feeling. And I remember just opening my eyes and I was back on the floor in myself, if that makes sense. Like I'm back in my body.
Mm. So it was an outer body experience, basically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then when it goes back to when I had my third reading, the lady said to me, "I'm going to be doing this for people all over the world." Again, social media weren't really as big as nowhere near what it is now.
Well,
And
because
I
we're
remember
talking early 90s? Because you're the same age as me, aren't you?
I was 14 in May. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So yeah, that would have been, early 90s. So there was nothing really. The internet had
No,
just come out really,
no,
hasn't it?
yeah, yeah. I remember the old dial up, like £1 a minute. Yeah, all the dial up.
And then you can't use a phone because you're like, I'm on the internet.
Yeah, on the internet, it cost me 60p a minute. My mum always used to shout.
Can I just digress? And we'll come back to what you're saying, obviously. But I remember when the internet first kind of came out, I thought it was fake. I thought that there's no way you can just type a letter and then send
Yeah,
it to someone in America. I had a pen pal in Ohio, and then she was like, this is my email address. You can just email me now. And I'm like, what? Electronic mail? And I was just like, this is fake. And I actually remember I wrote my handwritten letter and then I thought, let me just try it because I was going to post it anyway. And I typed it up and I emailed it and I posted it anyway because I didn't believe that it was going to get there. And obviously the email got there before the letter even got posted.
yeah, yeah,
Crazy
yeah.
times. Anyway, so yeah, so you've had this outer body experience at 14 when a car hit you. And did you tell anyone about your outer body experience at that age? Because were you scared? I remember that when I was younger, I would be
Right.
scared to tell people things because I thought they'll just think I'm weird and I wanted to just fit in at school.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think I spoke with my mum briefly because my mum was really into psychics, card
Okay.
readers, anything like that. So that's where I felt comfortable to
Mm.
speak to my mum about it. But that's where my passion for it really started. There was like this feeling of I really want to do that. I need to learn more. Don't know why, but I just had this feeling of I need to look into that more. But going back to the accident, the out of body, and I said had that moment of that feeling of now's not your time. So after when I went back to my mum, and my mum said, "Okay, tell me some things about me." So I'm sitting there, and I had this warmth feeling of I've felt this before, and all of a sudden I was explaining things to my mum about my gran who I never met, my mum's mum,
Mm.
and I was like, "Oh, this is the feeling I had when I had the car accident," and that's what now I always stick with that. My gran saved me that day, like
Yeah.
so. I think that really opened up massively where I'm at, where I'm going to be on this path of this work.
Amazing. And so you've been told a few times then, at fairly still young age that you're going to
Yeah.
be doing this work and helping people. And you, like you said, kind of raised an eyebrow at it because you just didn't see it. So then you've gone into construction straight after
Yeah.
school, basically. And then who would you read for then? Because I'm just saying, like, most people would say, like, construction is a very male orientated, but also
Absolutely.
alpha male kind of closed off mindset. I'm not like trying to paint everyone at the same brush, but
No.
typically it's that kind of
Yeah.
environment where it would get eyebrows raised. Like I get it
Yeah.
because I'm in corporate, but I love it because I love showcasing to people that actually there is science behind it and all this stuff. But typically I do get met with a raised eyebrow. So how was that for you? Did you kind of advertise it in your construction circle, or was it more like a construction worker by day and then psychic by night, alter ego kind of thing?
Yeah, absolutely that's literally how it was for me. It took me many years to actually say my 20s, I always say this was a real struggle for me in the respect of me trying to understand my purpose and all the other stuff. Especially so, I'm going to construction working and then I'm coming back and then I'm doing readings for people and yeah, it was difficult. It really was to try and find that balance as well. Yeah, my mom was pushing me, and as far back as I can remember, it just started out being a few of my mom's friends. So one of my mom's friends was really into this work. She knew a lot about cards, and she just said, I've had plenty of readings. She said that was that. And I think that from the moment that I read from my mom and I started telling my mom things about the family I didn't know or things about my gran, all those things accumulated to me knowing inside, okay, there's something more. And again, it goes back to I had an itch, I need to scratch it. So I followed it and, I was intrigued by it as well. So whenever my mom's friends had come round and I'd read for some of them. And then I started out going to a few people's houses, all connected to friends. But yeah, and then towards my late 20s, I got to the stage where I said, I need to be all in here. And I just went or and just said, "This is what I do." And I actually read for some of the people on the roads, their partners or their relatives, and that grew. Then I started doing shows. Some venues started saying, "Oh, would you like to do a show?" And I wanted to push the boundary of like what's capable, like
Mm.
what can I do, and so I took the ball by the horns and just was like, "Yeah, okay, I'll give it a go. Let me just see what happens." I was also part of a spiritual church. It literally lasted about a year or a couple of years. I just felt that it wasn't for me.
Mm.
I tried it. I didn't feel it was me, so I just went on my own kind of path and my own way of self-discovery. So,
Amazing. So
yeah.
that's so cool. So I've got a few questions. So first one was, and I want to just take it back a little bit because as you were
Oh,
speaking, I just realized that actually some listeners may not understand what a psychic does or how it works and what a reading is and channeling. So could you just give us a little bit of a psychics 101 for someone who probably doesn't understand a lot of these terms or doesn't understand how you are able to see or feel what you see or feel?
well, I can only talk off my own
Mhm,
examples and my own path.
mhm.
So for me, it's through meditation and prayer, opening my chakras, closing down properly. Once I open up, I then kind of step into your pool of energy. So whoever's in front of me, whether it's online, in person, you've got your pool, and now you're saying to me, David, jump in my pool, what's going on around me? And then we see what comes through energetically of spirit. And when I say spirit, it's not the way that I'm seeing you now, it's more of a form of energy that I feel. I get a warmth feeling. And then from there, I'm able to interpret who I'm with, where I'm at, where am I going with this feeling that I've got. So when I was speaking earlier about my gran, I got a feeling, and that's always stuck with me. Then when I felt my grandfather, my mum's dad, I got the same again. So then that's how I started to interpret how I feel for who's coming through for that person. And now, great question. It's a little bit difficult for me as well, because it's like driving a car. You just know when to change gear. So for me, I go for what I feel. So I will see something in my mind's eye. I will see an image. It's then up to me to interpret, what does that image mean? Where am I going with it? What are they trying to show me? I'll just give you a quick example. I was reading for a lady, her mum had passed, and her mum kept giving me the feeling of thank you and gratitude connected to a giraffe. So I says to the lady, I said, are you going to the zoo? She said, no. You going to the farm? She said, no. You got the animal wallpaper? She said, no. And then eventually I said that many things about animals. She said, David, why do you keep asking me about animals? And I said, well, your mum's telling me to say thank you for the giraffes, but you haven't just brought a giraffe, surely. And she started to cry. And she said, no. She went, but what I have just brought is some vases that my mum wanted, but she passed when they arrived. And now I've got them, and on the vases are giraffes. And she said to me, she said, I've always wanted to know that my mum knows, is it okay? Do you know that I've got the giraffes?
Oh.
So that sometimes I make it more overcomplicated myself, because I want it to come from me and I want to give as much as I can.
Mm.
But then I should have just said, like, your mum's telling me to say thank you for the giraffes.
Yeah, and you know what? I totally can resonate with that, because so when you feel energy, that's called clairscentic, right? So you sense the energy. You don't necessarily see the person. Because
Yeah.
I'm the same. I'm more clairscentic. I feel energies when I'm doing my energy healing, and very similar to you. Um, I then have to decipher and use my own kind of logical kind of, oh, this feels like a motherly energy, this feels like a grandmother energy. And then I've had very similar experiences with my clients as well. And at first I was like, this doesn't make any sense. Like what I'm feeling and what I see, like an image or something. And I would get song lyrics as well. And I'm like, what is going on? But then now I've come to learn is that sometimes the most easiest thing is just say, it's like, what's it, catchphrase, say what you see,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Try not to interpret it, just say what you see, because it's for the
Yeah.
client then to fill in those dots. And I think that's really important, because I
Yeah.
was doing some sessions yesterday and I had to say to them as well, I was like, look, it may not make sense to you as well, because like it definitely doesn't make sense to me, but through a discussion, that what
Yeah.
could this be, or what could this be related to, we can
Yeah.
then together figure it out. And I think that was something I wanted to highlight, because psychics do get a little bit of a bad rep, I feel, that you're like, oh, how comes you can't guess the lottery, or you should have seen that coming because you're a psychic. But it doesn't really work like that, does it, David? Can you
No.
explain a little bit more about, obviously, like I said, you can only speak from your experience. Every psychic has a
Yeah.
different way of doing it. But I think I liked the way you've done it, because you're very similar to me. But what is your answer to when people do say that, oh, can I have the lottery numbers, please?
Oh, well, as you can imagine, in construction, I had that quite a lot.
Yeah.
So that was like the ongoing joke. And yeah, like you say, it doesn't work like that, because the energy is picking up on people that have crossed over. So it's all about connecting and being in tune with the spirit, the energy that's around that person. And things like the lottery numbers and all the rest of it doesn't come to me, because let's just say if it did, and everybody I met could get the lottery numbers, then how much problems, I suppose. And then also, if you think of the person, they're on their path and they need to learn from their mistakes. And if they had it easy by winning the lottery every week or doing these things. So I just take it as, if you want to win the lottery, believe in it, because I did. And
You won the lottery.
yeah, yeah, I didn't win the full amount. I just want to be clear on that. But yes, I did. I sent it out. I was telling everybody I'm going to win the lottery, and I just believed in it. I felt it. I had this feeling, and yeah, I won
Like
a chunk of money.
sizable amount. Oh, wow. Right, everybody. You heard it here first. we're going to do an exercise, and whoever's the first to win the lottery, I want a 5% cut because I brought it to the table. So what's the health lottery, Dave?
So the health lottery is they donate majority to different hospitals for health. That's what's called the health lottery.
On that note, I did win the lottery as well last week, but
Wow.
I won a tenner on the Peter lottery. So we just wanted to put a little disclaimer out there. We are not advocating that people go and just start gambling money that they don't have. Please only play lotteries that are within your budget. But also, I would go ahead and say that I only play lotteries that are charitable donations, just similar to yourself. So, like the health lottery is great, Peter lottery for animals, and that money is a donation to the charity, and then you get put into a draw. So, we just wanted to put that in there, as we're not advocating gambling. But if anybody, and I have to put this in there, if anybody is struggling with gambling, please reach out, because I know someone who can actually help you, and they are very passionate about gambling addictions and helping people through it. So it's nothing to be embarrassed about, but again, we just wanted to put that in there.
It weren't great. It weren't like, I got all the numbers, but it was on the health lottery and I'm very grateful. So I got all the numbers, and then one of the numbers was a bonus ball instead of the normal number or something. So I got all the numbers, but it was just mixed up. But all I say is that just hold it within you. But just remember that winning the lottery and everything else isn't the answer to where you need to be or what you need to go through to get you where you need to be. So as much as you'd like somebody to tell you the lottery numbers, then that's the easy route. You need to learn from yourself of what's right for you, for your path, So sometimes we go through these things, we go through the difficult times because we need to go through them to learn who we are and to value the things that we do have.
Yeah, so that's very interesting. And I said it as a joke, but obviously this is amazing. Like, you have just kind of explained that so beautifully well, and it demonstrated it. So my passion now is I don't want people to get scammed. I really want to help and prevent people from going to these like sort of charlatans, because there are unfortunately a lot out there, especially now. I'm seeing it so much online. These online psychics, I'm going to call them out as well, psychic Samara or something. I see the ads all on Instagram, and to be fair, I tried it and I asked her some fake questions as the ads suggest, and she was completely wrong. I was just like, and I could tell it was chat GPT'd. I could just tell from a mile off. And I was like, this is so wrong. And yes, it's only like $15, but then they try to upsell you afterward. Luckily, I got a refund back from it. It's just not right.
So I just want all your listeners to be aware of this. If you're going to someone or you see something and you think, oh my goodness, that looks amazing, that looks great. If the person that you're speaking with or whoever you're going to can't back it up, whether that's through a real person, and then they can't back up with the information that they're giving you, then be very careful of where you're placing your energy and be very careful of who you're trusting and what you're trusting. So if you was to book up with somebody, then you want to make sure, one, that you book up with the right person for you. But then also when they do come on, you want them to give you a little bit of insight about things that they potentially shouldn't know, or things that are going on around you, things that have happened, just to validate the information they are giving you is correct. Because sometimes I've had readings myself where everything the lady said, all these things to me, and everything like was just a little bit off. She was so off that I just said, look, I'm really sorry. No, but I always say, I'll take it with me. And literally that's how the reading went. And everything she said, when I've looked back at it, none of it really makes sense even now. So all I'm saying is that if you do go for a reading, make sure they can back up or validate things about you, what's going on currently around you.
Thank you so much for that, David. And just to add on to that bit, when you said, just kind of vet the person first, is it's the two people that kind of I got sucked into and scammed were actual people, but I didn't ever see them on video at all. I only spoke to them on a phone and through WhatsApp. But the other ones that I keep seeing online is these, like, you just send them your questions and your date of birth or name or something, and then they pick up on your energy. And so that was like very chat GPT'd, and I was like, that was just wrong. And even though they like lure you in, was like, oh, if you're not happy, you can get a refund. But it was very hard to get the refund. And then the other one was when people would start reaching out to me in DMs. Oh, I feel your energy. I want to give you a free reading. And I was like, okay, go on then. And then they gave me the air quotes free reading. And then it was like, oh, can I ask for a donation? And again, there's something around you, some negativity, I can get rid of it, but for a donation. And they don't call it a fee or something. They use all these like softer terms to get
Yes,
you to part with your money. And there I just felt
absolutely.
like, no, I'm sorry. It's just not right. And I always see now is, and nothing is really free because you should be exchanging stuff. So, even though I do my free 1 minute meditations, that's fine. But in exchange is like I say, like pass it forward, share it with someone, tag someone in the comments below and share it. That's your exchange for this free energy, because otherwise your karmic
Mhm.
giving and receiving is out of balance then, right? So
Yeah.
whenever you do see something for free, always look inwards and be like, right, be free. But what can I then exchange? Could I give that person a testimonial? Could I give them a like or a follow? Or can I introduce them to someone? That is your kind of exchange. It doesn't always have to be monetary.
No, no. But just to add to that as well, though, is that I mean, go with your own intuition of how that feels. I mean, you spoke about these people or ChatGPT or whoever it may be that have popped up on your feed. You'll have that intuition of like knowing that something's not right. So now we're talking about your intuition. I want this to educate your listeners,
Mm.
and I don't mean that patronisingly because I genuinely want to help in any way I can. That your intuition's there for a reason. You need to listen to it. You need to dial in. So your intuition is something that won't change. Your intuition is something that it will keep telling you the same thing. For example, if you meet someone and all your friends are raving about this person, like, oh my God, this person's amazing, I love this person, but you've got that intuitive feeling that something's not right, something's not right. So it doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with that person. It might just be that they're not the right fit for you. It doesn't make you a bad person. So it could work the other way where you really like somebody, but everybody else is like, yeah, but I don't like this, this, and this. But if you like that person, then trust that intuition. Your mind will always change its mind. So I think of the mind as when you're thinking about what I'm going to have for lunch, you're always like, I think I'm going to have this, but now I'm going to have this. Your mind will change its mind. The intuition will always stay the same. So even if you say to everybody around you, yeah, I really like that person, your intuition will still tell you, I don't, or the opposite way around.
Yeah.
So listen to your intuition. So when you do see these things online, just be very, very careful of what's your instinct, what's your automatic response telling you. How do I feel about this that I'm seeing?
Yeah, I love that you brought that up about the intuition and a few things that you said there. I definitely agree. Like your intuition, they say your gut never lies, right? Your heart may sometimes lead you astray,
Yeah,
and your mind will also overthink and overcomplicate things, but
yeah,
your gut will never lie. And I've definitely experienced that, especially in like relationships as well. But again, the other part of me, the heart was like hanging on because I was like, he can change and it'll be fine. And the gut's like,
yeah.
no, 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 so I've learned to listen to that a lot more now. But then there are times where you're so blocked off. So like for example, when I was grieving, everything was blocked. Like I couldn't feel. I felt literally nothing, which is why then I was just desperately seeking. And so my intuition, it was clouded. It was just so far removed from
Mhm.
myself, and that's where I kind of got led astray. But so what can people do in those times? Because again, what you said there, that person that you think is a bit off, but everyone else around them
Yeah.
like likes them, it doesn't
Mhm.
mean that you're a bad person or that it's just different, right?
No.
And so like I'm glad we're talking about this because one of the people that I got scammed by, the first person, I recently for something somewhere in my brain or my body or my energy just decided to go back and just check the messages, and then I looked them up on the internet and they've got glowing reviews, their testimonials and just amazing da, da, da. And I'm now thinking but how have I had such a bad experience with them? Because I'll be honest, I was thinking of like going down the whole fraud. I got a call saying, have you been involved in a scam, da, da, da. And I was like, I wonder if they do psychic scams. But then when I looked them up to get their information to fill out on the form, and I was like, but they've got glowing reviews. So how was it that I had such a bad experience of them, but other people haven't? Because they're clearly doing something right, are they?
There's so many ways I can answer this. So first things first, are they making is there any reference to the reviews? Because the things that you can do now on social media,
Yeah.
how do you know that they haven't got like hundreds of people in all over just sending glowing reviews? So whenever I put a testimonial out or a review, nine times it's very rare I don't add somebody's name to it or tag them in it to let people know, like, hey, this is genuine, this is who it's from. I don't like doing it where it's just a name or a surname, because I like people to know the authenticity. Yes, my hands are tied sometimes because people want it kept private,
Yeah.
and I totally respect that and appreciate it. And nine times out of ten, I don't use their post anyway, only on the basis of I want it to be genuine. So I think you've got to look at the genuine side of things as well. But then again, depending what it's for that you went into, whatever this scam is that you went for, again, it comes back to what's the lesson that you've learned from this?
Yeah.
Like, what's the thing that you got scammed for to do something that you probably don't even need? And then you've done it once and you're like, no, I'll give it one more try because this is the way forward. And then you've done it and you're like, actually, no, this is, and the universe has give you a bit of a nudge in your spirit guides. So you've learned your valuable lesson from that. I know it's hard to see right now, but in a few years, in a few months, you'll look back and say, yep, lesson learned.
Lesson learned, just as you were saying it, because in my heart, I was just like, you know what he's talking about. And it's because I keep getting it. It's like, I already have everything in me. I don't know why I still carry on seeking from others that I want like some extra stuff like knowledge or anything like that. So I'm just like, because I'm a little bit of like a magpie when it comes to like courses and things like, oh, like, oh, this looks good. That looks good. Oh, I want to try that. And it always comes back to like, you don't need it, like me, like you already have so much in you
Yeah,
that you're giving to others. Give that back to
absolutely.
yourself. So, yeah, I love that. And I totally resonate with you with the testimonials. Unfortunately, with mine, there's so many of my clients, because of the types of clients I work with, that are like, they want to keep it very, I think because of the nature of the work that we do,
Yeah,
are still a little bit like, I'll just do a written one. And so what I do then is I snapshot it and then I'll put it up so that people can see that it's actually a
yeah,
text message that's been
genuine.
sent. But you're right, actually, because it reminds me of a story that a few years ago when there was this whole thing about Trustpilot and reviews on fake businesses, and just
Oh,
to
wow.
prove it, somebody had opened up some kind of business, and they basically they paid some people in Asia to go on and review this fake business to show
Oh,
how easy it was. Within a month, they were the top rated coffee shop or something. And actually, it was done as an experiment, and people were ringing up to try and book a table at this fake coffee shop. And it was just from someone's garage. And they were like, I just made this up to show you that actually reviews can be bought and followers can be bought and bots and everything. So, and with the inclusion of AI now, it's a little bit scary that like things can be done so seamlessly and easily.
yeah,
So we have to, I guess, I think strengthen our intuition. That's the main thing here,
yeah,
right? Do the
yeah,
work, do energy work, do whatever work it is on yourself, on your well being to strengthen your intuition, strengthen your gut health, and reconnect to yourself. I guess
yeah.
that's really important. And that way, then you can trust yourself. Thank you so much for that. I really want to get into our reading though.
Oh,
So,
yeah, of course.
because it was very unique the way you did it, and I loved that. So before we get into it, could you let me know, like, how did you come to find me? Because without sounding rude, you did slide into my DMs, so I was
It
just like,
did.
this is
Yeah.
a bit random.
Yeah. Well, I was just literally through social media, through Instagram. I was just scrolling on my For You page. You popped up. I thought, oh, this is interesting. I listened to a couple of the podcasts and looked at your stuff. I just liked the energy, and just felt the need to reach out. I don't, just to be clear though, I don't do that to everybody. I did it on the basis of the podcast, and I was like, oh, I like your energy. I like your vibe. So that's the reason I'm saying that is because I get a lot of fake accounts and I don't want people listening thinking, oh, Dave will DM me. No,
Mm.
it was just literally from the basis of the podcast, and I just genuinely liked your vibe.
Oh. We did an online session, but
Yeah.
it was very different because you asked me to turn off my camera. And so I was like, oh, wow, I've never been asked to do that before. So can you explain a little
Mm.
bit more about why you ask people to turn off the camera?
Because I'm not reading your body language, I'm reading what comes through to me. So whether you have your camera on, camera off, I just give people the option. You know, just do you want your camera on? Do you want your camera off? And most of the time, I'm not looking at the camera anyway. I'm just so focused on scribbling on a piece of paper or whatever's coming through. I like to give people the choice, and then I think it just shows a little bit more authenticity for the sitter who's in front of me that, oh, okay, he's not reading my body language. He's not looking at, am I wearing a wedding ring? He's not looking if I've got tattoos. He's not looking at anything like that. And also, I like a blank canvas anyway.
Mm.
I just like it to be authentic with what comes through so that that, like, oh, okay, this is coming from somewhere far greater than the eye can see.
And on that note, one of the things you did pick up was my dad came through and you said he's not very happy about your tattoos. My, well, I mean, you couldn't see it, but my jaw dropped because me and my siblings did get matching sibling tattoos this year around about the time of my dad's 5-year anniversary because we thought it would be a nice thing to do, even though we knew Dad didn't like tattoos, but we were like, we'll just do it anyway. And then but we didn't put anything on social media because it was a very private thing for us, and a personal thing for us. And even now, when people look at it or notice it, and they're like, "Oh, what does that stand for?" And I tell them, but I haven't advertised it like, "Hey, guess what? We've got the sibling tattoos, and this is what it means." And it reminds us of our dad and all other things. So when you said, and it's in a place where you couldn't have seen it, even if my camera was on.
Yeah.
So that was like jaw-dropping moment for me. And I was like, and you did say like your dad's like jokingly saying that he doesn't like the tattoos, and that's exactly what he would have done. So that was amazing. And because I will be honest, I was a bit like reserved a little bit because I was like, well, I'm on social media, my account is public, so how do I know? I'm saying this from someone as a skeptic person.
Yeah.
Obviously I'm in this world, so I fully believe in like
Yeah.
psychics and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I wanted to, because I knew we were doing this episode, I was like, right,
Yeah.
I wanted to put it out there as if someone was. And what I loved about your approach was even before I'd said anything, you were the one who was like, right, don't talk too much. Let me just go off how I speak. I want to say everything, and then you can ask me questions at the end. And then, switch off your cameras so that I don't see your body language. And so you know that this is fully authentic. And I was like, I love this man already because you're 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 sort of popping all those little skeptical bubbles that somebody may have had. I didn't have any because I know I love psychics. But yeah, I thought that was so beautifully done. And then when you said some of that stuff about dad and a few other things, it was just like, wow, like I just found it fascinating how different psychics can just channel in and tune in, and the way you did it, because some people are quite visual and they can like describe things, and yours was more from a feeling, and for you to get that much accuracy from that feeling was just wow, amazing.
Yeah. Do you know what's really nice as well? How fast do I talk in a session and how much do I talk?
Yeah.
So, like right now, I'm being really quiet, like really just in this moment and very, but when I'm in a session, I just want everybody to be aware that I speak very fast anyway. But in that moment, I'm like, blah, 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 blah.
But it's almost because it's channeling, right? And that it just it's coming
Absolutely.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I get that sometimes as well, and I'm just like, oh,
Yeah.
where are these words coming from? And it's just like, da, 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 da. But
Yeah. Yeah.
that is just flowing through. So that was amazing. Thank you so much, David. I always believe there is a reason why people come into your life, and you found me so randomly. And, I'll be honest, I did think you were like one of those, I want to give you a reading. It was like trigger warning. But obviously I could tell straight away just from like your message initially. And I think this is going to be like an episode for people, how not to get scammed on Instagram, because I just want people to look out for these red flags, because David's message was so personal. It was so detailed. It wasn't like a few lines of, hey, I've been drawn to your energy. You've got such a nice page. Can I give you a reading kind of thing? It was like a proper paragraph. And you'd cited some of my reels and podcasts. And then I sent back a voice message because I love a voice note. And that's another good way of making sure people are who they say they are. And then you messaged me back and we had really great chat. And,
Yeah.
a few days later, you're giving me a reading and now we're doing the podcast. So it was a beautiful kind of synergy. And I was just like, oh, this is so cool. So I just wanted to say thank you so much for reaching out. And there's obviously a greater reason why our paths have aligned as well. I always end on a 1-minute meditation. But before we do, is there anything else you'd like to share?
Always trust in your intuition if it feels right for you. And no matter what reader you're going to see, make sure that it feels right for you. trust in that intuition and you're going to a medium, just make sure that you're prepared. And what I mean by saying you're prepared, make sure that you're ready for what's going to come through. For example, you might have lost your dad, your mom, your granddad, your child, whoever it may be, and you're desperate and you're like, this is the one person I want to communicate with. You're not going to care who else comes through. You just want to know they're okay. So I always explain to people, just appreciate what does come through, because you might not hear from who you want to hear from, but you'll hear what you need to hear. So just bear that in mind as well, you know?
Thank you for sharing that, because that is so valid and that's so true. And I love that you've explained that, because we do get caught up on what we want from
Yeah.
energy work or healers or psychics. What we want is very valid, and that's why you'd go to someone. But I always say
Yeah.
to my clients as well, it's like what we think we want is not always that what we need. And
Yeah.
the energies that we work with of love and light, they see deeper than just, the 4 feet
Yeah.
ahead that we wanna see. They
Yeah.
they have floodlights, they see everything, so they're gonna tell you what you need for the bigger picture
Yeah.
a lot of the time, rather than what we have just focused
Yeah.
on. And so when
Yeah.
clients come to me for healing and they're like, "Oh, I've got this pain in my shoulder," or "I'm feeling like this," or "I've been feeling really depressed," or "I want some guidance for this in my life or my relationship." I'm like, "That's great. Put that intention out there, but also just be open to whatever is gonna come through is actually for your highest good." What you may find is that you're going to get some wisdom, some knowledge, some healing, some messages for something that's going to really transform your whole life. It might
Yeah.
set you off on a different path. Now, would you not rather have that rather than a short term, like, I want an answer to this question, or I really want to speak to my dad, or I really want to just connect with this?
Yeah.
But be open, because you will always get what it is that you're needing in that moment,
Yeah.
from a reading, from a healing, from any kind of work in this place, as long as it's from the right person. So I love that. One question I wanted to ask as well is, what's your thoughts slash explanation on low vibration energies, negative energies? And if something comes up in a reading of someone, it's not very nice news, A, do you pass that on? B, what's your stance on it? Because I know there's some psychics out there that won't tell you bad news, they'll only ever tell you good stuff. Like, how does that work in
Oh,
Dave's world?
just speaking up for myself, I deliver the messages. Whatever I see is what I'm going to pass over to you. And then when I do that, though, then I look at it from the lens of, okay, now I've said that, how do I then help my client? So, okay, think of it driving, that you're driving towards a dead end. It's then my job. Okay, we're heading this way. Let's just turn left, turn right. Let's just not go too far because you're going into a dead end. So I look at it from that lens. But I will just say it. But then again, I will say it from the angle of, how can I help you understand it more? And when you spoke just so beautifully about, what you're needing to hear and the information that comes through, appreciate who does come through. Appreciation is one of the biggest things. But also think of it, your loved ones, the path that you're on. You might be listening thinking, well, if my loved ones was with me, why do they send me down these routes? Why do, again, the lessons that you need to learn. But then just remember as well that they're not driving the vehicle, you are. They're just guiding you. They're the sat nav, you're the driver. The same as me. If somebody comes for a sit-in, I always tell them, I'm the sat nav, you're the driver of the vehicle. If I say to you, turn left, turn right, you might say, I'm not turning left or turning right because I know which way I'm going. That's okay. You'll still get where you need to be. I might just know a different route, or I might just be trying to guide you from a detour or whatever it may be. So again, you have to go through those lessons because you've got to learn things for yourself. It's not down to a psychic or a medium or your loved ones in spirit or your spirit guides. That's why they're called guides, because that's what they do, is guide
I
you.
love that. Yeah. And so true to remember, because free will always reign over anything. And your
Absolutely.
free will is so powerful. And this is why it's really important to remind everyone how powerful we are, because we override anything, our destiny, our karma, whatever. We get to decide, because our free will takes precedent while we're in this form. Just as a closing note on that, I would highly recommend listening to Dave's sat nav instructions, because you may very well find yourself with a lottery win. I'm joking, everybody. That was a joke. No, but thank you so much, Dave, for everything. And I honestly
Thank you.
do feel very blessed that you messaged and you aligned and connected with me.
My pleasure.
Such a beautiful experience. So, is there
Yeah.
anything coming up that you want to kind of highlight?
Well, I'm going to be at Sutton Coldfield Town Hall. That's June the 12th. So yeah, we're looking forward to that one.
Oh my gosh, I'm going to put it in the diary. I'm definitely going to try and come over. You say show, what does that mean?
So my live event, me being on the stage, is that what you're...
Yeah. So like, because people might not know what like a psychic show.
Oh, okay.
Like,
Forgive me. Yeah, so you'll be part of a collective group that you'll come, sit in the theatre, and then I'm up on stage doing what I do, helping
you'll
people
read for
connect.
the audience as well.
Yeah, I'll read for the audience members, and then we do a meet and greet. I do a Q&A throughout the process. We do a collective thing that I do together that I just find kind of unique. So you'll have to come and see the show if you want to know what that is.
Wow.
But yeah.
Sounds amazing. All right. Thank you so much. So just to
My
end, we're going
pleasure.
to do the 1 minute meditation. Like I said, I will leave all the links below. Do go and follow Dave and reach out to him if you would like a reading. I highly recommend it. Let's do the 1 minute meditation. If it is safe for you to do so, please go ahead, close your eyes, take a deep breath in through your nose. Hold and then breathe out through your mouth. And because of the topic we've been talking so much about today is intuition, I want to just do a 1 minute meditation on helping you come back to yourself and connecting with your gut, with your soul and your heart, and helping you to reconnect and reignite that trust in yourself. So place one hand just gently on your chest and then one hand on your abdomen, and just breathe into these spaces, feeling the rise and fall as you breathe in and out. And just telling yourself that you are safe, you are powerful, and you are knowledgeable. You have all the wisdom already within you, and what you seek externally already exists internally. And just sit with that energy, sit with those words, let it flow through you. You may even feel a bit of warmth coming from your hands and from those areas. Just know that this is your energy connecting with you, letting you know it's there for you, guiding you every step of the way. And you can come back to this at any point. And I invite you to do so regularly to strengthen this connection with yourself and your energy and your intuition. And just giving yourself some thanks and gratitude as you breathe in through the nose, hold, and then as you breathe out through your mouth, gently releasing and opening your eyes. And I wanted to say again, thank you so much, David, for coming on. Do remember to like and share and download this episode. If you'd like to, please share it on your socials, share this episode, tag us both in it, then we will reshare it. Spread the love, like we talked about energy exchange. This is free for your pleasure, leisure, and education. So in order to do an energy exchange, either leave a review, share it with a friend, or the best thing would be to share it on your socials if you're on socials, and then tag us both. And, it does really help us to reach more people. On that note, I will just bid you all adieu, and I will see you all at the next episode. Sending you love, light, and blessings.
Thank you.